coming up this hour.
Because in life, we look at all these things we haven't done right, all the failures, all the shoulds, all the things that pull us back. And we're not good enough here, and we're not good enough there, and we miss the beauty of who we are.
Thank you for joining us on It's New Day. It's the second of a series of 5 programs with Cheryl Townsley, and I know that she's going to give us a lot of help. But, you know, I think sometimes we don't ever even have a plan for our health and how to treat our bodies and so on. We just go living every day and give the food to the body that we sort of feel like having, and don't really think about what it's doing to our body.
Right, you actually say, I have a health plan, and I mean, we have a medical health plan, right? I mean, does the government have, yeah, the health insurance? Is there a plan for me to keep me healthy medically? But the reality is, Betty, that we are, and I'm learning this, that I'm responsible for my health more than anyone else. It's not my doctor that's responsible for my health. He may have to deal with my illnesses, but I'm responsible for health, Betty, and Cheryl wants to help you and I prepare a plan, open our lives up and say, you know what, I can do things for my body and for my life that will make a difference in the long run.
So stay with us for the hour, and I know you're going to enjoy it.
Enrich your life with some of the most insightful and encouraging teaching on the web. Visit www.newday.org and view today's program, or search the archives to find the program series you may have missed. That's www.newday.org. Viewing made easy.
Dr. Cheryl Townsley is our guest today. She was with us yesterday, will be with us for another few days, and we're talking about lifestyle. We're talking about healthy lifestyle. We're talking about productive health. Dr. Townsley, it is so good to have you. No, I'm kidding. Cheryl, great to have you back with us.
It's really good to be here today.
Bless you. I want to thank you for what you're doing, because you're wanting to help people discover who they are in God. I mean, what they can be, what their bodies can do.
Well, you know, I remember one time being at a book signing in a health food store, and this man came up, and I was talking about lifestyle for health. It's our cookbook. And he looked at it and he said, so tell me about this word lifestyle. At the time, I didn't know he was a Messianic Jew.
Okay.
But we started talking, and and later, you know, much later, as we developed a relationship, he said, you know, what attracts a Jew is your lifestyle. And as he said that, I thought, you know, that's really true for lots of people. You can say lots of things, and you can take the perfect picture. You can capture that moment in time and make everything look as close to perfect. But see, life isn't about perfect moments. It's about living life. And that's a style. And you know, as I was doing all this perfect stuff as the doctor, you know, all this brilliant deductions for clients.
Okay.
And really quite good at it.
Yeah, because Cheryl is a naturopathic doctor, and you had a clinic. I mean, and, it's not there anymore because you closed it down because of lifestyle.
It's exactly right, because see, in the clinic, I was doing everything right, I thought, for the patient. You know, I was doing their protocols and making sure they were getting follow-up, and I made everything down to the detail, and part of what I did was, in a sense, I even made it too hard for them, because I wanted everything to be just right. So it's like, well, if we do just this and just this and just this, and they'd come back and say, well, what if I miss it by 15 minutes, and what if I do this, and what if I do that, and I'd say, okay, well, you need to do this, and I would get pulled into all this perfection. And I'm sharing this, Willard, because so many people live life that way. They live where everything has to be just right, because, gee, if I don't do it just right, you know, my whole life will fall apart. So we're teetering on this edge of stress. If I can just get through till 6 o'clock tonight, I can get home. If I can just get to Friday, I can have the weekend. If I can just get to retirement, then I'll have life. And that's not how God intended us to live. You know, if I think of that scripture to be childlike, and as I look at babies, they're so sweet and precious, and they're curious, and they check things out, and then when they start learning to move, their parents are like, oh, did you see that? They picked up their arms, they picked up their leg, and then when they take a step, what do parents do? And grandparents, you're like ecstatic. And then they fall down and we're like, oh, they're so cute. But as we grow up, we lose all of that. We judge ourselves. It wasn't good enough. It's not good enough. We've got to do more. We've got to do better. We've got to put more into our day. And somehow this lifestyle that God intended gets lost in this maze of perfection and never good enough. And that becomes our lifestyle. And I saw as the doctor how I was unintentionally permeating some of that and letting people think that they had to do it just right.
Wow.
And as I was doing that to them, I was doing 10 times that.
Yeah, because the teacher is harder on herself than anyone else. Okay.
And so if I would miss something, it was like, oh, I should have caught it sooner. Yeah. You know, in all the years in the clinic, I only had one patient die. And it was devastating. It was like, what did I miss? What could I have done differently? You know, it was so hard on me. And then I didn't have time for our daughter because, you know, I was saving the world. I was doing what was God's work. You know, these people dying are really, really important. And I remember as Anna was getting ready to go to YWAM, Youth with a Mission, and it was right in that time frame, she said, you know, you and Dad are just workaholics. I really have no desire to do or be a part of any of the stuff that you do.
Oh my goodness.
And I was heartbroken. It was like, how could this lifestyle of knowing God, of doing all this health stuff and making a difference in really hundreds of thousands of people's lives, and my daughter doesn't want to be a part. I mean, how can that be? It didn't make any sense to me. You know, and as we talked about yesterday, when I went on sabbatical, it was like, how did this all get so messed up? You know, how did that happen? My intentions were so good. How did my health fall apart again with great success? And how was I losing my daughter? I mean, I was heartbroken. It was like, God, does it mean when you step out and do something significant, you lose relationships?
Wow.
You know, I didn't understand how it had happened. And my first inclination was to say, well, you have to. You know, it was to start to generationally push her to do what I'd been doing to me. You know, and I'm so thankful today that God interrupted that. Because what if, Willard, what if these books had become monumental bestsellers and I'd added more television and more books, then the very calling on my life would have destroyed me. And I wonder how many people out there who are doing the shape of their purpose, but the heart is based in hard and a lifestyle that causes children and legacies to go away. That really kind of got my attention.
And we've seen it happen in others, but we don't see it happen easily in ourselves.
I really didn't.
Good.
And Forrest and I, right around that time, after Anna had shared that, and it sort of cracked my heart a little bit, he asked me a question. I'll never forget this. We were driving on 470, going to some meeting probably, and he said, Cheryl, if time and money were not an issue, what would you like more of in your life? I paused, and all of a sudden some tears started to come, because I said, what I really want is time to work on my health, time to be with you, and time with Anna. I wanted time. And he said, the more successful you are doing what you're doing, the farther you get away from that. And it was like, wow, I was in that either-or place.
Right, right.
So I give up my dreams, or I have the desires of my heart. How come they're so far apart? what's keeping them from being one? Why are they so far apart? And I wept because I realized that what I really wanted was time with my family, with the man I love with all my heart, with our daughter, time to take care of me. And yet everything I was doing in my mind kept me from that. And over time, I began to understand they're not mutually exclusive. They can be together when we do it God's way. But when we do it in the human system, we create all these shoulds, we create all these coulds, we make it hard, we don't take care of ourselves. We get so indebted to performing and being perfect, we forget how to live like a child. And the scripture that says, unless you be like a child, came alive for me. And as I'd watch children and they would laugh, I didn't laugh as a doctor. I was only serious. You know, and God knew ahead of time that that would happen to me.
Yeah.
So he gave me Forrest.
Okay.
And Forrest tells really dumb jokes. But here's the problem, Willer. His jokes are so goofy, but he has this contagious laugh. So when he's laughing, everybody's laughing at his laugh, not his joke. No, not his joke.
But he thinks his jokes are so good, does he?
So he's just convinced it's his jokes, so he tells them over and over and over. And I used to get so irritated. It was like, that is so dumb. How can you do that to us? And as I began to get some healing on this, and the Lord started showing me, I gave you Forrest and I gave you Anna as gifts so that you could learn to laugh. Because 1 minute of laughter will boost the immune system by 24 hours. And just 5 minutes of being frustrated and angry lowers the immune system. So when I was spending all that time being frustrated and trying to shape everybody up in my life and get them to do what was right, the right way, my way, which certainly wasn't God's way, I took the joy out of living, I took the laughter out of life, and I had this shell that on the outside looked perfect and successful, but it wasn't living. It just wasn't living. And that question, what would you really like to create? If time and money weren't the issue, what would you really like to create? Because that's what God has put on the tablet of your heart. And when you really get clear on that, time and money are never the obstacle. They never are the obstacle. They're only the obstacle of being perfect. But when you begin to get connected to what's important, what God's put on this tablet, you start to appreciate progress and taking baby steps. Baby steps. And what I really desired to do in Power of Being Healthy, because I didn't do that in the clinic.
There's a video series that we've got, okay.
This series I did in front of friends, the easy way. I didn't do it as the doctor having to have everything just right.
Okay.
I laid out baby steps, and I told some of Forrest's jokes. I made it funny. People were in the audience laughing and going, where did she come from? Because they'd only known me as the serious, smart doctor.
Yeah.
Now that person didn't go away, but she didn't do that series.
Okay.
All the information the doctor knows is there, but it's baby steps that allow somebody to learn to walk. It's not starting out as the expert, it's the baby steps and encouragement that makes the difference.
Do you know, Cheryl, that is such a huge, such an important perspective. It's such a danger when you know a lot of stuff. I mean, I have talked about teachers that know a lot of stuff, and they have this tremendous drive that feel they've got to get it all out there so everybody knows everything they've got, because they've got this huge storehouse of great information. And so you get around them and you almost feel, well, you get overloaded. You get inundated and you feel like this big block is sitting on top of your head and it's pushing you down. And a dear friend of mine years ago just said, my only call in God if I can get you to take one step closer to Him. Not about knowing me, but if I can get you one step closer to knowing the Lord, I've done my job.
You know, that...
And you've just said that. I mean, that's exactly it.
It's so true, because so often when somebody would say something to me, this flood of knowledge, and it was like, how fast could I say it, and how quick could I dump it? And I wonder how many people I wiped out.
Well, hey, quite a few, I'll bet.
I'm sure I did. Now, it wasn't my heart.
You wanted to help them. It was everything in you wanted to help them.
But when we don't understand the purpose of God's way in making a difference, if we don't understand God's way, by default we will abuse. Abnormal use.
Yeah.
And God's way is what Jesus did all the time. He asked a question, what would you like to create? I could say that 100 times and people will go, okay, well, now give me the good stuff. Give me the big stuff. But that's where it starts.
So for you, this is still the place where it starts for every one of us.
This is where I live every day. What would I... Okay, Lord, what do we get to create today? We're going to have an adventure.
So okay, now, what I like about this is you're saying that it's like every day is a new slate.
This is a new day, isn't it?
It is a new...
This is a new day, and His mercies are new every day. Take not thought for tomorrow or what is behind, it's today. And as a child doesn't have a day timer, a schedule, or a history.
It's today.
A baby has today, and he's checking things out. Well, what if I did this? And what if I did that? What happens in life if we, in just one place during the day, you know, if you don't know how to do this, trying to do it all day is too much.
It would be
way too much.
Way too much, yeah, exactly. So
simple things like coming home from work. How would I like to drive home from work today? Well, what if I just turn right here? Well, it wouldn't be fast enough, and I wouldn't blah, 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 blah. Or you go, and it's like, pause, just pause. What if you just turned right instead of left, took a scenic tour, and actually noticed what was around you?
What if it wasn't just about getting home in the hurry?
Exactly.
Whoa.
What if it was about enjoying the moment? And what if life could be easy?
Just
what would it look like? There are so many things that I have found are easy when I invite the Lord to show me. What would it look like to be easy in this situation? You know,
that's a great, you know, that's a good question. I mean, you can actually ask God that. I mean, Lord, how could this be easy?
You have not because you ask not.
Right. No, that's right.
Okay, so, you know, I'm speaking this because I believe it, and I live this. This is not theory for me.
And we're talking the last few years. I mean, we're not talking 20 years ago.
This is within the last 2 years.
Wow.
Now, you know, I could let guilt come in and go, should have done that in the clinic, but that's irrelevant. Shoulds and coulds lead to debt. Shoulds and coulds lead to debt. There is no prosperity and no health in shoulds or coulds. And when I hear myself say, I could do that, I should do that, it is like a red flag to me. When I feel overwhelmed, when something feels hard, I know I have moved back into the zone of Cheryl doing God's job, trying to be perfect. I'm not perfect. But I can be the best Cheryl that I can be, and I can say, I can ask, what would I like to create? What would I really like to do here if I was honest? If Forrest says, would you like to go out to eat, what would I really like? Do you know that as I've worked with executives, because I'm now doing executive coaching and consulting, and there are many times in business as I'm working with executives who are working with millions of dollars, and they're getting all caught up in all these projects and new product releases or whatever they're doing, and I'll say, what is it you really desire to create here? How will you know if this is an outcome that you would like more of? You know they can't answer that question, and they're spending millions of dollars to do this activity, but they don't have clarity of outcome. And do you know that when I talk to, you know, men, women, so what would you like to create with your health? What's the purpose of being healthy? For if there's no purpose for health, there's no reason to do it.
Wow.
There is no reason to do it. For me, exercise was my Goliath. It was just
way too big.
I was made fun of growing up. You're a klutz, you can't do that. My parents would laugh at me, kids would laugh at me, so I learned I couldn't do that.
Right.
And so when I started looking at exercise, the couldn'ts were huge. What allowed it to change was that I could create movement and a lean body. I could do that.
Okay, right. It's not that I can do a lot of
and it was something
things,
I wanted to do. It wasn't that I had to go do what I couldn't do, but I could create movement. And you know what I'm finding? I'm actually a graceful dancer because I hear the music.
Okay.
When I let go of having to be perfect and doing all the steps just right.
Oh, okay. But you can move with the music.
I can move to the music because I hear the music.
Yeah, okay.
And because I follow. I'm actually a great partner because I don't demand to do it my way. I just follow. I'm discovering what I can do because I have a desire to move and enjoy my body. And so one of the things that's so important to me, because this is in the last couple years, to support Power of Being Healthy, the CD that I'm giving to your viewers is an understanding of easy and what it means to create, because I believe those are the keys. Mm-hmm. Those are the keys to allow health to be something that you are curious about, and it becomes an adventure like a baby learning to walk. It's not about a workout routine that you have to do. Those are worlds apart. They're worlds apart, and they produce such different fruit. One creates what babies create, which is laughter and joy all around them. Mm-hmm. I mean, who would have thought that a 55-year-old woman learning how to exercise could be so entertaining? It's entertaining, and people are like, what's the next chapter in your story? It's not the perfect person that's got the perfect body who never had trouble with it talking. This is a woman who struggled and had no muscle memory to go back to at 50. None. There is complete amnesia. It never existed. And it's happening. Willard, that means it's possible.
It's possible. Yeah, it's possible for any.
It's possible.
You can do something. I mean, you can do, who knows where you might end up. I mean, but have you tried? I mean,
that's life-changing. That's life-changing. That doesn't require a doctor doing the precise protocol. Is that important? Yes. But I think for most people, the basic steps, Power of Being Healthy will give you that.
Okay.
But more importantly, what would you like to create? And how can it be easy? That changes your life. It gives you the youthfulness that's in a baby that all the pills and all the potions can never apply to you, because that changes the inside.
Yeah, it is about in your heart. Mm-hmm. It's about contentment. I mean, what I hear is a contented heart.
At peace and full of joy.
Hey, that's the way I want my baby. No. Every mom wants her baby to be at peace and full of joy. I mean, but you like your teenager there too.
And she is there. She's doing that, and Forrest is like, I like my baby. I like my baby.
Anyway, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back with Cheryl on some more things. By the way, the book is called Discovering Wholeness. The DVD series is called The Power of Being Healthy. And this is really the things that we're focusing on here is what initiated. I mean, you're talking in this DVD series about exactly this process of.
That's right. This is the basic steps, the baby steps.
The baby steps.
To recreate that joy that God desired us to have.
I love it. We'll be right back right after this.
Your copy of today's program can be purchased by requesting the program number on the screen. Write, call toll-free, or visit online at www.newday.org.
Speaking from personal experience, Dr. Cheryl Townsley is passionate about teaching people that a balanced, healthy lifestyle can be easy. The book, Discovering Wholeness, will help you create an environment all your own of balance and health. Also available, the Power in Being Healthy DVD set featuring 4 DVDs. Cheryl lays out the basics required for living a life of health, great for small groups or personal viewing. Purchase this educational series for $49.95.
As many of you know, we are praying for your families. And if you're new to the program, I just want to tell you that we are praying at 8 o'clock in the morning and 8 o'clock every night for those prayer requests that you send in, because we're believing God for restoration of your families. And on Mondays, we're even fasting between 8 and 8, just as an intentional way to say, Lord, please bring healing. We're asking for the miracles this year. And we just got a prayer request that I'd like everyone to join us in praying. And it's from a sister of ours saying, I'm sending you a prayer request for our family. I watch It's New Day every single morning. It's a breath of fresh air, and my day would not be complete without all of you. So thank you so much. And I so enjoy the programs. They're also helpful. Can you please add our family to the list? And I don't want to go into too much detail so that she's not protected as far as her anonymity. But I do want to say that she has a 12-year-old daughter. They moved a couple years ago, and they have a 12-year-old daughter who just kind of distanced herself at that time, and her husband's out of town a lot because of his job. And she just feels that she's lost her way. She's not herself. She's been so difficult and so challenging to keep communication open with her. And I know that that happens with kids her age. She's emotional and angry, and it doesn't seem like she even wants to be part of our family. It's like walking on eggshells every single day. And it's hard on the rest of the family. And I know they're preteen issues, but this is too much for us to handle. Please pray for God's love, healing, and restoration to our precious girl. We would love to have her back. And I can see that she is lost and hurt. And please pray for restoration and for wisdom for me and my husband. And then she talks about how they went through a marriage crisis 7 years ago, a lot of the same time Bob and I were, and they say it was the same as Bob and Audrey. It was difficult and painful, but we made it through together. We are reconciled, and nothing can touch or break us apart. We are the best we've ever been.
Wow.
I wouldn't trade.
It's a praise report
Yeah,
as well.
I wouldn't trade our marriage for the world. And so she knows what God can do.
She knows the power of God.
That's right.
In her life.
That's right, for her little girl.
Yes, and in Philippians chapter 4 it says, don't worry about anything. You might be worrying
Well,
today.
as a mom, it's pretty hard not to worry sometimes.
But it says instead pray for everything.
Yes.
And you will experience God's peace, which is far more wonderful than the human mind can understand. His peace will guard your hearts and minds as you live in Christ Jesus. So I pray for God's peace in your heart and mind today.
Yes,
no matter what you are facing, we know that God is there,
Lord.
and we don't have to worry. He will look after us.
We're going to trust the Lord relentlessly with our children, and that's how we're praying for you today.
We're back with Dr. Cheryl Townsley, and you are enjoying the process that you're in.
I am.
Are you healthier than you were 2, 3, 4 years ago?
I've never felt this good. You know, once my health fell apart in my 30s and I restored it through supplements and lifestyle and diet, I was much better, and I thought life was pretty good. But as I've added this easy piece and being able to be at peace in who I am and not having to fix everything, letting go of what God does so well.
And letting Him do it.
And letting Him do it, and I don't have to fix. Being able to offer people a choice, and if they're not ready to, it doesn't mean I didn't say it perfectly. I didn't do something perfectly. I didn't give enough. Because that's what I used to do.
So you felt you were responsible for the outcome. If somebody didn't do it, you didn't motivate them right. You didn't, whatever it was, you didn't. And you don't see Jesus, He would be sad when people wouldn't respond, but it didn't, he never made people do something.
In our performance society, most people are not where Jesus was and is. Most people today are kids. If a child starts to rebel, what do? We didn't do this right, we didn't do this right, we didn't do this right, we should have said it this way, we should have done this, we should have done. And we beat ourselves up. And as a doctor,
so
Willard, I cared so much.
You beat yourself up about the patients who weren't doing the right stuff.
Because surely, this is so important. surely if I said it just right,
they would have got it.
If I gave enough, if I priced things just right, if I did something different, then they would have responded differently. I believed that. I lived that. And the burden was enormous. With Forrest, if I would just say this right, or if I would do this right, he would say he loved me in just the right way to nourish me, if I did everything just right. And there are people out there like me.
Like a whole lot of people.
Lots of people.
Oh, yeah.
And that didn't change overnight, because it was Velcroed
Well,
to me.
it was the way you were. So is a step out of that one little step at a time?
It's baby steps. The only way we learn to walk a new way is with baby steps. And if we can't get it, if it's not baby steps and easy,
you won't do it.
It's a diet, getting rid of shoulds. It's a routine over here. It's a workout, and it may produce a short-term difference, but it won't produce change. I 100% guarantee that. I've seen people lose massive amounts of weight and gain it all back. I've seen people get out of debt and get it all back. Because it's a cycle. It's a cycle.
Yeah,
and if you want to break that cycle, something
steps.
has to change and in essence be born again as a baby and start with baby steps. Power of being healthy is based on the baby steps that you desire to create. And so when I began to see this burden I was walking in of being responsible, what the Lord began to show me, He said, Cheryl, I give people choices.
I know.
I'd set before you life or death. Now, if you forget, it's better if you choose life.
Yeah, in case you didn't know.
He said that to us,
I know
right?
He did, I know.
I set before you life or death, and if you don't remember, choose life. But He gives us free will. He didn't manipulate our decisions.
Still doesn't.
And I can't either. And so what I found is that for me, the biggest growth in my trust was when I began to give people their choices and let it be. And if I can be a resource to you, I will. I would love to make a difference, but this is your choice. Because I may not be the right person, and this may not be the right timing. And that I am not responsible for. And all of a sudden, people were kind of taken back by that. And in the beginning, they were offended. Well, you didn't do this, and you didn't do that, and you didn't do this. And in the beginning, I'd fall into that because it was a pattern. And it takes time for those things to change. But I didn't try and stop doing something, because that's trying to fix problems, which doesn't particularly work in this area. What would I like to create?
Yeah.
And for me, when I began to see some of the differences in our pictures, it was like, she's cute. This woman is cute. This woman has joy. I'm really kind of a nice person. And I started to, I hope this comes across right. It was like I fell in love with the person God had made me. And instead of finding fault for all the things I couldn't do, it was like, look at who I am. It's not my performance, it's my being. It's who God made me. I'm considerate, I'm thoughtful, I'm generous. I like pretty colors. I create a gracious environment. There's things that are just me. It's just, it goes with me. It's who I am.
Right.
It's not better, it's just who I am.
Right.
Those were baby steps. And it began to change not only me, but our marriage. And Anna was like, wow, Mom's becoming kind of fun again. And it began to restore our relationship.
Sure.
And now we're best friends. I didn't lose her permanently with that so rigid lifestyle God restored. But He didn't restore it with me being perfect.
No.
It's not
the other way
about,
around.
Exactly. It was in my being able to just be me.
Who you were. Right.
It made a huge difference.
And you know, this whole idea of what is perfect anyway is another great big question, because that's in whose judgment? Anyway.
Well, you know, perfect could be the perfect mannequin that's a size 2. Perfect. But you know what? That mannequin's dead.
I know. No fun.
No fun.
No fun.
No fun.
No.
And it's in our differences that we're unique and we begin to love each other. So.
Absolutely. Now, we want to talk a bit about, there's an organization you know that I know well, and it's Family Foundations International. Craig Hill runs that, and Craig's been a guest on the program over the years. But you've had a close relationship with Craig over the years. And
actually, I have. In fact, Craig worked with us when we were first married, and that's when we were a mess and broke. And of all the people Craig's worked with, I think we have earned the most exclusive in this area. You know how you usually go in and you get help and you pay the counselor?
Yeah.
Our situation was so pathetic, he gave us the gift. He said, you need this more than I do. So that's how we started out with Craig.
Okay, so he was a big help.
He's an instrumental person in our life.
Right, okay. Anyway, but he's had an organization, and they had a very difficult thing happen very recently.
This was a tragedy, because about 2 years ago, when we were doing Power of Being Healthy, he had asked me to do that for his ministry to help people worldwide know the basics. Because he said, Cheryl, you can't go to all these people. Could you give them the basics? And so the man who ran Family Foundations, it was his son, Jason, who did all the camera work and editing. But Ross ran Family Foundations. And I don't know that I've ever known someone who exuded more life, as an incredible husband. His children adored him. His daughters called him their best friend. He was a special, special person. And the 1st of March, I was over there for his 50th birthday party. Forrest was out of town, so I was there, and I noticed his breathing was really labored. It was raspy. He'd gained some weight, and as he was eating his birthday cake, you know, scenes were running through my mind of emails that I'd gotten from him where he was writing them at 11 or 12 at night, and I would get them the next day, and I'd write back, hey, Ross, what about getting to bed on time? He said, yeah, I know I should. I know I should. And even at that night, as he was eating his cake, his wife, Jeannie, was talking to me and said, we have got to get back. We've got to start eating better. We're not doing as well as we need to be. And I said, well, and see, this is when I knew some things had changed for me. I said, when you're ready, I'll be glad to help you.
Right.
There's nothing I can do until you're ready. And I recognized some symptoms in him. And everything, not everything, there was a large part of me that wanted to go fix that because I could see the seriousness. Mm-hmm. But you can't force health on somebody.
No.
A week later, he was in Florida helping his 83-year-old father, Bob, move, who's in great health. Moved back, and as he went and reached for a donut, he collapsed of a massive heart attack. He collapsed into the chair. Bob called 911, and the operator said, can you do CPR? And he couldn't. He said, I don't know how. He said, can you get him on the floor so he can breathe more easily? Bob said, I can't, he's too big. And Bob watched his son basically die in front of him, and there was nothing he could do. And Ross left behind his wife of age 50. Their first grandchild was to be born in 2 weeks. Oliver Ross is now born, but he won't know his grandfather. And Ross's 2 daughters have not yet married, so when they walk the aisle, their dad won't be there. And it was probably one of the most tragic deaths I've ever witnessed because it was premature. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He knew what he should do, but shoulds don't motivate us to action. And so when I asked Jeannie, I said, Jeannie, this situation has really touched me. Are you okay sharing this? And she said, sure. If this would help one person and make a difference in their life, mm-hmm. because what I'm going through is hell.
I'm sure she is.
She said, I never planned on this. I never said goodbye. I never planned on being a widow at 50. I never planned on a grandchild without a grandfather. None of us planned on this. It's tragic. And as I watched that, and as I watched the pictures at his memorial service, he was so full of life. He had such a purpose, and he was making such a difference. He knew he should. He knew he should. He knew his weight was out of control. His eating was out of control. He wasn't exercising. He knew. The issue wasn't for lack of knowledge. But there wasn't a big enough why. There wasn't a desire. Mm-hmm. And when the desire's not there, trying to make it happen doesn't work. That's when it's so important to go before the Lord and say, Lord, help me, because I don't want it. I really don't want it.
Yeah.
And that's where the desire has to rise up and let it be easy. Because so often we think it's going to be hard and that we have to allow 2 hours for doing it. It's choices. It's simple choices. Mm-hmm. It's picking up the water glass. It's walking. Mm-hmm. It's recognizing God's food and putting just a little bit more in. It's creating a community that will support you. And Craig came to me, and it was bittersweet. He said, you need to go into the office and you need to tell them what to do. You need to just make it black and white.
Yes, change the rest of my staff. My staff needs help.
He said, tell them they're stupid if they do this and they need to do that. And I said, Craig, I can't. And he said, well, but that's what they need. I mean, how stupid can you be to put this in and you know you're going to die? I mean, that's just stupid. And I said, because that doesn't motivate.
No.
I lived that life. Yeah. That's not what motivates. I said, now, what if we create, and we talked. We spent actually a couple hours one evening talking. And I said, the fact is, everybody in your office eats the same way. They all eat the same way. And they all don't move the same way. There is a community.
Well, so there is a community that's
kind
of encouraging each other
in a certain way. I said, what if we began to change the community, and what if instead of having donuts and cookies on the table, what if you pay to have fruit? And what kind of fruit would people eat? You know, you don't have to have unusual fruit. You can have grapes and bananas and apples, because if it's there, they'll reach for it. You know, what about when you do a social? What if you bring in healthier food? What if you begin to create a contest that as a team, if they start losing weight and doing something, there is a reward? What could you do to create something within the community, within the office? And so they put some things together, and now they're taking that and branching it out in their outreach to other people, because here is a man who understood blessing, who understood everything that Craig teaches, but his body ran out of fuel. And without a body, we don't go any farther with our destiny and purpose. And so now they're undergirding blessing with creating, not what should be done, but creating a healthy lifestyle within their community.
Yeah. The idea, I mean, you saw something in that palette that God opened up to you. It says, okay, or not the palette, but the page, the sheet, the chart. Said, what could Cheryl be? What would she be like? And I guess then we need to create an image, or let God create an image, or give people a desire. How do they see themselves? I mean, do I see myself as not overweight, but as someone who is able to do this, or would enjoy doing this, or whatever? I mean,
well, if you just think back on everything God did in Genesis, start in the beginning. He said, let there be. He didn't say, get rid of the darkness, get rid of this.
No, he said...
and defined himself by the darkness. He said, let there be light. And light came. It just came.
Let there be movement. Let there be.
Let is a surrendering word.
Okay. Yeah.
So what would it be if I just let me, Cheryl, be? Because it's not trying to find something out here, it's already in here.
It's in you.
And it's letting us discover
who you are.
Who we are. And we are not defined by our weight, our height, our eye color, our skin color. That's not who we are. It's simply part of the package, but it's not who we are. It's not who we are. Now remember, when Forrest and I were dating, This is so typical of Forrest. He has these massively big blue eyes. And I remember him over dinner one night with those big blue eyes looking at me. He said, you know, Cheryl, none of your parts are really good looking, but you're an attractive woman.
Hello. Yeah.
What do you say to that?
Yeah, I was going to say, what is a good...
What do you say to that?
You want to keep dating him, okay? You want to encourage him, but that wasn't too sharp. But anyway.
Years later,
okay,
the Lord said, do you remember what Forrest? I said, yes, I do. I didn't get much out of that one, so maybe you could help me a bit. And here's what the Lord said. I've never forgotten this. He said, how many times, Cheryl, do you look in the mirror and see all the parts of you that you don't like?
Oh, my goodness.
And yet when I look at you, I look at the whole woman I created, and I go, you're beautiful. That left me speechless too, because that was true.
Yeah.
Because in life we look at all these things we haven't done right, all the failures, all the shoulds, all the things that pull us back. And we're not good enough here, and we're not good enough there, and we miss.
Yeah,
we miss the beauty of who we are and what we're here on earth to be, not do, to just be. Now that doesn't mean you get flaky and you do nothing. I'm not saying that at all. But the drive for me is no longer my performance to be perfect. My desire, even in being here today, is to be me, because I'm fun. I have life. I have an abundant life.
Yeah. Because
I have a God who loves me. I have a husband who loves me. I have a daughter who loves me. And even if you don't have a daughter, even if you don't have a husband, you have God, and His love is so big. And He's created every one of us to be special and unique and to make a difference in the world that we live in, whether it's 3 people or 3 million people. We can make a difference, and it doesn't have to be hard, and it doesn't have to end tragically. But you know what? So typical of God, Ross's death is not in vain. Because this story is going to go out and touch somebody's life and touch their heart, and they will make some different choices, and they'll be around for their grandson or their granddaughter. They'll have the time to woo back a daughter or a son, and a legacy will be recreated. And it will go beyond them. And it won't just stop prematurely. Because God's doing something special with what happened to Ross. Because that was Ross's desire.
Yeah.
And even though there were things that could have happened, but they didn't. Because that was his desire, I think God's honoring that. And this will go forth and make a difference.
Yeah. God's got a way of taking tragic things and bringing life out of them. I mean, again and again. But I know it certainly was a wake-up call in their office.
It was. And people are aware that there's weight, there's poor eating, there's health issues, and we're not forcing them to do anything. It's an invitation.
Yeah.
Because God always invites. And with an invitation, you can always say yes, and you can always say no. Because sometimes the timing's not just right.
And sometimes you're not
ready.
Sometimes you're not ready. I mean, not that God wouldn't, but you're not ready.
And if you try to do it when you're not ready, it doesn't work. So if you're honest enough to say, God, I don't understand, I don't want to. Can you help my unbelief, my undesire?
Right. Well, there's that wonderful verse that I continue to go back to. It says, God will give you both the ability but also the will, both to will and to do. He has good pleasure. So sometimes I say, Lord, I need the power to do it, but the ability to do it. But there's times I don't even want to do it right now. I mean, I have talked to God about some things that I know He wants me to do. I say, I just don't want to do it. Yeah. Help me to get that want in my heart.
And when we give Him an invitation to touch our heart,
He does it.
He always does. Yeah. He doesn't come after our mind to force it. He woos us, and when we give Him invitation to touch this heart, Willard, It's incredible.
Yeah, well, you know, because he knows how to touch your heart better than anybody. Because he made the heart.
He does.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. You'll be back with us tomorrow. We'll continue talking about being healthy, the power in being healthy. I mean, it's so incredible. Great DVD series, and Discovering Wholeness, the book, the body, or the spirit, soul, body connection. These are available. It's available from us here at It's a New Day. And I just want to say, God bless you, Cheryl. Thank you for Thank you for saying what you're saying. And thank you for being with us today. It's going to be a good day, right? We're going to take the right step. Are we going to take little steps and discover? Let's take steps to discover the me that God created.
Speaking from personal experience, Dr. Cheryl Townsley is passionate about teaching people that a balanced, healthy lifestyle can be easy. The book, Discovering Wholeness, will help you create an environment all your own of balance and health. Also available, the Power in Being Healthy DVD set featuring 4 DVDs. Cheryl lays out the basics required for living a life of health. Great for small groups or personal viewing. Purchase this educational series for $49.95.
Your copy of today's program can be purchased by requesting the program number on the screen. Write, call toll-free, or visit online at www.newday.org. Coming up next time on It's a New Day.
What typically happens, and these are scriptural, biblical principles, we either form a vow, which says, I'll never do that.
Right.
And Scripture says, let your yes be yes and your no be no. Don't vow. Just yes or no. The other thing we do is we get offended. When people do something that we don't like.
Turn up the truth in your life. Tune in to It's a New Day. Want to get connected with It's a New Day? Get in touch using the contact info on your screen.
Our guest today, Dr. Cheryl Townsley, a real joy to have along.
Yes.
So thankful. It was some time in preparation to get her here, you know, that type of thing, but so thankful because this is an emphasis and a theme that we want to talk about, and because we've been talking about relationships for a long time. It's very, very important. But here it comes. You know, fighting for families.
Yes.
In fighting for families, you have to deal with relationships. Okay. We also need to deal with our health. And we're going to have another series coming up, and we're going to begin to be dealing more with finances. But this week, we're able to deal with health issues. And it's kind of unique, I guess, or something, you know, because this is something that we chuckle or laugh about, or we'll do something about, you know, all those kinds of things. And, you know, oh, my clothes aren't fitting, or, you know, those kind, you know, just the light-hearted stuff. But when you're ill, it's not funny anymore.
No. That's right.
And
or when a very close loved one gets ill.
Yeah, becomes ill. You know, those types of things. All of a sudden, health becomes a big issue. Otherwise, we're very casual about it. And I know that in my personal life, I've been very casual about it for many, many years, simply because I've had good health and haven't had to worry about it and those types of things, and I still do. But I'm trying to let wisdom speak, you know, and say, you know, Bob, you know, let's use a little bit of wisdom here, you know, that the Lord brings, and let's, you know, begin to deal with, you know, your body, and use the wisdom of the Lord, and not to live in fear, but to be wise. And because God is the one who's created our bodies, I believe He knows how to care for the body. And that's why, you know, Dr. Cheryl Townsley is here with us to really bring some truth, and with truth, then we have the opportunity to change direction. You know, are you going to embrace the truth?
It's true.
You know, but aren't you? You know, that's just simply the way it is. So here it is. You know, this week is an opportunity, you know, for us to embrace truth, as difficult and as hard and as painful as it might be. Challenging, all those types of things. Embrace the truth. Yeah.
And maybe just a beginning, an introduction. Maybe this is a bit heavy for people who have never even thought about their health. But I think it's like, I really feel that it's important to be open in your spirit, in your heart, to embrace that even if you don't quite understand it all. Mm-hmm. And to just, at least begin to start doing something about your health, even if you can't do it all.
Exactly. And you know what I really find, and you talk about family and health and how those go together, as a mom, I have an opportunity to create a culture of health in my home, because I do a lot of the grocery shopping and I make a lot of the decisions about what we're going to eat. And so I can either have stuff available that's healthy, or I can go with chocolate chip cookies and all those things that
you like the fun
Meisner's
food.
love. And I love fun food and all that stuff. But yet I do believe that I need to make healthier choices for our children. Mm-hmm. And our children appreciate it when I do, don't they?
Oh, yeah, they do.
They do. They say, thanks, Mom, this is great.
Well, I think sometimes if we loved others more, we might take care of ourselves more. Oh. I mean, do I love my children enough to ensure that they have a healthy dad? Mm-hmm. I think that's an important element.
It is a sacrifice,
because some of us live in such a way that when our children grow old, they won't have a father. Wow. Or they may not have a mother there. I mean, I'm just saying, now not that we know the days and so on, but there are clear statistics. I mean, Dr. Townsley is bringing these things up.
Clear.
I mean, things are revealed out there that show that our lifestyle and spiritual elements are very, I mean, she's bringing out the whole man. I mean, it's spirit, soul, and body. It's all there. But we are determining the opportunity that our future holds in many ways by what we're doing.
Yeah. Not only will it be damaging to you, but you affect so many others and future generations and so forth. So yeah, the enemy wants to take you out, but also he's looking at harming, your generation. So I'm so thankful for this week. Willard, you're doing such a great job. Dr. Townsley, thank you so much. And for you, embrace truth today. Embrace that truth today and allow the Lord to really bring a transformation of heart. It's something we need to think about and work at, but allow it to really become a heart transformation. That's what I'm asking for me as well. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you again next time on It's a New Day.
Bye-bye.
Speaking from personal experience, Dr. Cheryl Townsley is passionate about teaching people that a balanced, healthy lifestyle can be easy. The book, Discovering Wholeness, will help you create an environment all your own of balance and health. Also available, the Power in Being Healthy DVD set featuring 4 DVDs. Cheryl lays out the basics required for living a life of health. Great for small groups or personal viewing. Purchase this educational series for $49.95.
Want to get connected with It's a New Day? Get in touch using the contact info on your screen.